Let's dig into it.
All right, so you have to agree. Most of us have felt it at one point this year. The pain at the pump, high gas prices. They've been pushing some drivers to...
Go from that.
Okay, there it is. I was waiting for it to turn to the electric. You want to hear that shock?
Yeah, it just makes your hair stand up, doesn't it? But in some places, the switch might actually be required soon. I'm Ben Briscoe.
And I'm Tanya Rivera. Could North Carolina also require you to buy an electric car?
And is our state ready for that big of a change?
Yeah, to dig into it, let's start with California's proposed ban on sales of cars that run on gas. To start off with, it's not an all-out ban on every gas-powered car in existence. The rule would ban the sale of new gas-powered cars in the state by 2035. Governor Gavin Newsom first announced that plan in 2020, part of a more ambitious goal for a carbon-free economy.
We can't get there unless we accelerate our efforts in the transportation sector.
Energy experts say the policy could be a game changer.
The main impact is when California demonstrates these sorts of things can be done without damaging the economy, so that other states and countries will take the same path.
Now, the new rule will require federal approval, but that's considered likely from the Biden administration.
So could a ban like that come to North Carolina? Governor Roy Cooper's office says there are no plans for a ban in the works, but there is a plan to increase the number of zero-emissions vehicles out on the road. In January, Cooper issued Executive Order 246. Part of it calls for at least 1.25 million zero-emission vehicles on North Carolina roads. He wants that by 2030, not long from now, and for those vehicles to make up 50% of the new light-duty vehicle sales by that year. The order also says several state agencies will develop a clean transportation plan to address increased availability, sales, and usage of zero-emission vehicles. Reducing vehicle miles traveled, meaning less gas taxes collected by the state, investing in clean infrastructure, increasing ability to non-vehicle transportation, and a transition to zero-emission and lower-emission fuels. The order also pushes for a more diverse green energy workforce. Part of that plan to grow that workforce right here in the Triad. Last month, Governor Cooper announced over $23 million from the American Rescue's Good Jobs Plan would go to NC&T Steps for Growth. That's a clean energy workforce training program. The funds will go towards a program that helps students get the training for our region's growing clean energy sector. It partners with employers throughout our state to learn more about solar energy, more about self-driving cars, alternative fuels, and so much more. But that's not all for the Triad. We're becoming an electric vehicle production hub. Toyota's investment in the Greensboro-Randolph megasite already started with a bang, and it keeps growing into a bigger and bigger deal. The car company says it will add another 350 jobs to its car battery manufacturing plant. That brings the company's total investment to $3.8 billion and 2,100 jobs for our area. The site will now have 6 battery production lines, which should be enough to manufacture lithium-ion batteries for 1.2 million cars per year.
All right, so we know that there is a growing demand and where some vehicle parts will be manufactured. But will the nationwide electric vehicle infrastructure really be able to keep up with all of this growth? Well, the answer right now is hopefully. President Joe Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law invests $7.5 billion in building a national network of chargers. And now that plan will put EV chargers along highway corridors to make long-distance travel easier for those EV drivers. It's also going to add chargers in communities all across the country. But when it comes to the power to charge those chargers, does the power grid fall short?
Well, there's no way we could keep up right now if we suddenly went to 100% clean cars.
Okay, so as California is facing a heat wave right now, they're asking folks not to charge their cars during certain hours to avoid overloading the power grid.
It's particularly important to stay away from power use during that 4 to 9 period during this heat event, especially as temperatures rise.
All right, so the big takeaway there after hearing all of that, right? The power system is not prepared for a big increase in electric vehicle use right now.
But there is a plan in Governor Cooper's executive order to try to get North Carolina's infrastructure up to speed.